The Malaysian man.
No, not the Malaysian man.
So is it the coffee death one?
Yeah. That one.
Okay.
Caffeine. I started its own tab somewhere. There you go.
So much death, so little time.
I know. You want to cover them all, you know?
Oh my goodness, this is perfect for us.
Yeah. This is going to be great. You're going to love
when
this.
we can, we try to tailor it to like the guests.
I'm getting antsy, dude. We got to get fired up.
Shalom.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Honeymooners Getting High on Haitian Hard Beans and Hawaiian Heavy Roast while hitting on high-grown Heredia. Uncle Gary was handed too many harshly harvested Konas and had a heart attack episode of the Days Grimm. My name is Brian Michael Day.
My name is Thomas Grimm.
And who's producing this?
Drew Head.
What's up, sirs?
Not much.
Plural, sirs. You guys doing good today?
Yeah, the AC at my house is out though. That kind of sucks ass.
Oh, so you're in heaven now because it's like 75 up here, so you're doing good now.
Yeah.
I do want to take a second to let you guys know, the listener or the viewer, this episode is brought to you by our official sponsor, Purple Moose Power Washing LLC. That's Purple Moose, one word, Power Washing LLC. These guys are the newest pressure washing company in the tri-state area. Hit them up now. Their deals are banging. Speaking of banging, I don't have a follow-up. I was hoping you had something like nothing going on.
You lost me with banging.
Yeah, I know. My mind's in like a different place now.
Yeah.
You guys are doing okay today, though?
Yeah, not bad.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Walking
Just
normal.
super warm. That's why you're dressed like a stripper today? Is that what's going on?
That, and I just feel stripper vibes.
I think I got like a peek of a nip or some side boob earlier. We're going to have to blur that for the YouTube
The microphone blocked it.
Put a sensor bar over that.
like one of those Japanese anime blurs. But anyways, all right. So I'm gonna do myself a favor and hit him with that intro. Help me welcome into the Days Grimm studio this week, none other than from Honeymoon Coffee Shop. I'm going to say that wrong. So sorry. Zach, how are you, sir? God,
Hey, I'm great.
I got super nervous all of a sudden. I don't know why. Did you see my brain lock up?
Honeymoon Coffee
Did I say it
Shop.
wrong?
No, you got it right. Well,
Honeymoon Coffee
it's funny because people...
Company. I knew it was company.
If you look at the logo there's that nice little golden plus sign. And definitely early on, people would say, hey, is it honey and moon? Is it honey plus moon?
Honey plus moon equals... Coffee.
Exactly.
Oh, dude, see? It's like algebraic equation, you know?
How did you guys come up with the name for honeymoon?
Yeah, it actually, OGs will remember it was actually originally Honeydew Coffee Company. So that was what my girlfriend / business partner at the time really wanted to call the coffee shop. That was like her vision, Honeydew, DEW. And she just thought it sounded cool, sounded fresh. You know, it's like a melon or whatever.
Oh, it's a melon.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what is honeydew? I don't know. I thought it was like a color.
No, honeydew is like, it's not cantaloupe. It's
like
opposite.
cantaloupe. Yeah, it's like cantaloupe's cousin or something like that.
Ooh,
but it sounds fresh.
It's the green version of cantaloupe.
I hate cousins, dude. Ugh, the worst.
Smells good, though.
Your cousin?
Your cousins?
No. The honeydew.
Honeydew smell worse than cantaloupes or cousins?
I don't know, man. My cousins suck, dude. No, I'm joking. They're awesome. But anyway, so we like to take the first couple minutes after we've introed you, Zach, to kind of give the people, the viewers and the listeners an idea of who you are and what it is you do. So we're talking a little bit about Honeymoon Coffee Company. But, you know, if you were elevator pitching yourself, what would that look like?
Yeah, it's fun. I'm 43 years old now. I was born in 1980. Depending on when you like slice up the different sort of generational cohorts, you would possibly call me either Gen X or millennial. Like I'm on that cusp right there, but I definitely sort of skew a little more millennial.
Okay.
So like on my Twitter, or I guess X, formerly known as Twitter bio, I call myself the world's oldest millennial.
Yeah.
So there's that. Yeah, I'm a dad. I've got 3 kids. I've got an amazing wife and business partner, and I used to be a pastor. and sort of bounced around in different ways, sort of spiritually, but probably the thing that I gravitate towards the most is this like concept of meaning making. Like I just feel like all the different stages and chapters of my life, I've been really high on trying to understand and assign meaning to the different elements of like how I engage in the world, which includes like the name, like honeymoon. So like taking it back to the beginning, she wanted to call it honeydew, and I'm like, why? Where's the meaning in that? What's the reason? And she just thought it sounded fresh. And I was like, but hey, we're in love. You know, we're a couple. We're going to get married someday.
Yeah.
What about honeymoon? She's like, that sucks.
She didn't
That's
like
cheesy.
it. She didn't even like it.
But then we got a cease and desist letter from this place in like New England called Honeydew Donuts that also sells coffee. And they were like, hey, you need to drop this name or we're going to sue you.
Oh, man.
And so then she's like, yeah, your name, Zach, is actually, let's go back to that. Let's try honeymoon. And so we switched and never looked back.
How long were you honeydew for?
Like literally maybe 90 days. I mean, it was early
I
days.
do remember the name, but I don't think I had your coffee yet.
Yeah. I mean, early on. I mean, we had our struggles. Like we had a nice pop at the beginning when your friends and family, you know, kind of show up and support you. But really, he's got to pull up right there. There's our old logo, Honeydew Coffee Company.
Aww.
That's the color of the honeydew if you were to bite into one.
Oh, nice. Well incorporated.
And how long's Honeymoon been open?
We opened in August of 2016. Like literally, we're recording this end of August 2023. So like we are like right at, 7 years ago today. We were, just slammed trying to get those last finishing touches on.
That's sick,
awesome.
dude. That is sick. 7 years. I've been with my wife, I think 8 now, and that's crazy.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I met my wife the same year you met yours.
Really?
2015. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. So is
Good
that
year.
is that 7 years? I don't.
2015.
Yeah.
We're at.
Is that 7
Oh,
or
we're
8 years?
at 8 years
Yeah.
now
So we're
that you
rolling up
guys-
on 8. Yeah. July
That's it.
4th is when we made it official.
But they say, if you can make it past that 7-year itch, that's when like things get more real.
Oh shit,
Get ready.
Are you scratching? Are you?
dude, I'm fucking nervous now.
First marriage for you?
Yeah. Well, technically.
He was in the
Technically.
military. You don't count those.
Oh, you
marriages.
don't count. Okay.
His
yeah,
name
yeah.
was John. We don't talk about it. No, man. No, it's
His
my
name was
second.
Uncle Sam.
Yeah, his name was Uncle Gary. No. I was married whenever I was like. I got married when I was 19. When I first went into the military.
Yeah.
Terrible decision right off the rip.
Hey, it happens.
Yeah. So we were together like 1 year, and then I was leaving for the Army, and then I was like, well, I really like this girl, but they're wanting me to go to El Paso, Texas. It's like I can only take her with me if I'm married. And that was how it came to be.
Hey,
Yeah.
I've gotten married for worse reasons.
Yeah, man. Tom almost got married because he lost a game of pool one time. So
On a bet?
yeah, dude.
I guess so. Yeah.
I
Guy
guess
had an ugly sister, and they were
Just trying to pawn her off.
One of those arranged marriage situations.
Yeah, you took the whole Islam thing very serious.
Yeah, went
yeah.
one little crazy there.
Yeah. He's reverting,
What-
by the way.
Past tense? No longer taking the Islam thing as seriously?
No,
or-
he's
No, I'm
currently
still looking
considering
into
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He takes it pretty serious.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say,
I had a real good friend that we did a video series one time on sort of exploring Islam, like a man on the street kind of thing, where I would interview him and talk about. This would have been 2015 as well, like when things were kind of hot and heavy with Islamophobia.
it's
so
still
Oh my
pretty
God, I
heavy.
know.
Honestly, like a lot of people don't look at it as like a sister religion to Christianity. I mean, they're all Abrahamic faiths.
Sure.
And there's it overlaps a lot. Even in the Quran, it mentions like respect the people of the book, which is the
Yes.
Bible and stuff like that. And it's like, I feel like the Western media kind of tainted a lot of people's views on it.
It's pretty neat, Islam in general. And like he grew up Christian? Yeah, not Catholic, Christian.
I used to teach a Bible study to youth group and in a nursing home.
So he knows the book, and so we'll go over some stories like King Solomon or whatever, and he was
Yeah.
like, yeah, Islam's the same.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's fucking kind of tight.
The
It's kinda tight.
Abrahamic thing, I think, is probably the most
Yeah.
accurate way of like describing it. People will say like Christian or Judeo-Christian, but really it is
Abrahamic.
Abrahamic. Yeah, kind of
Yeah.
the trifecta.
Abrahamic religions, and I'm pretty sure the main difference is like Islam doesn't believe that Jesus was the son of God, but
The sole prophet.
But he's
Yeah.
still a prophet. Yeah.
Yeah, he's still a prophet. And to all the people that say Islam is sexist, there's a whole book on Mary in the Bible.
Yeah.
And they actually, when they refer to, like, if they were to refer to you, they would say the son of your dad. But when they refer to Jesus, they say the son of Mary.
So I do have a question since we're talking Islam, and then we're going to get into a bit. We do this bit every week, which I can't wait to tell you about, Zach. I'm fucking pumped. But I have a question about Islam. I don't like Islam for one reason and one reason only. It's the beard dyeing thing. And it's not that I don't like Islam. I'm confused by it. I don't understand. Do you know what I'm talking about? How they like...
You're not supposed to dye your beard.
They do in Afghanistan.
Well, the gray hair is supposed to show wisdom.
Oh, they dye it like red and blue, and is it so? Maybe it's a tribe.
You might be thinking of the Nation of Islam, which is different than Islam.
Now you've lost me. There's
Wait till you find out about what they think about alcohol.
I couldn't join.
That's haram. You can't drink it.
I couldn't join. Yeah,
I haven't made the full version. You know?
He's just dipping the toes in.
Well, they also believe that like the Quran was revealed to Muhammad in stages.
Yeah. Sure.
So they believe that like when you revert it's and the same reason they believe that it was delivered in stages is you're not expected to make all those changes at once. If you were to not eat pork, not drink, not, do all these things that are haram, then it would almost be impossible and it would take you away or push you out of the religion. So it's more of like, as long as you have the goal to quit drinking eventually and you're cutting back, that like...
I get you.
But you don't go to the mosque under the influence.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning into the Days Grimm, where we're finding out what Islam is today.
Absolutely.
No.
Yeah, we just went on a way tangent.
Yeah, and let's get down to the nitty-gritty. And by the nitty-gritty, I mean, Drew, do me a favor. Spin up that Death of the Week.
The Death of the Week.
This week's Death of the Week brought to you by thedaysgrimm.com. Dip the tip in, get some merch. We got some cool teas, coffee mugs, canteens. We got beanies. We got ball caps. We got, I don't know, Thomas was talking about like some other new stuff coming up. So
we
that's
got 2 new shirts dropping soon.
Yeah, very, very soon. So we're going to do some graphic tees coming up, not just our logo. So be watching out for that, as well as the new website is it's underway. So it's on the way, guys. So moving forward, this week's Death of the Week. Colwyn Bay man died after 200 coffee caffeine overdose. A personal trainer died after taking caffeine powder, the equivalent of up to 200 cups of coffee, an inquest heard. Father of 2 had miscalculated the amount of powder he was meant to use on kitchen scales. Can you zoom in a little bit, Drew? Sorry, this is like super tiny. I'm old. An inquest in Ruthin heard the 29-year-old from Colwyn Bay fell ill after drinking his mixture on 5 January 2021, reaching a conclusion of misadventure. Coroner John Gittins said the cause of death was caffeine toxicity. Moving on. Caffeine is used by some gym goers, with some fitness websites recommending it for improving sports performance in certain doses. However, experts have warned that when taking powders, there's a risk of consuming over the recommended amount. On Tuesday, an inquest heard Mr. Began clutching his chest and complaining his heart was beating fast after consuming the product. Minutes later, after going to lie down, he began foaming at the mouth. His wife, Susanna, alerted neighbors and family and called an ambulance. Paramedics tried to resuscitate him for 45 minutes, but was later pronounced dead at Glen Clwyd Hospital in Bottlewaden. Is this in fucking Switzerland, dude? What are these fucking town names, man?
Well, and it's funny because the article goes on to read that like the owner of the company, they asked him about it. And he was like, yeah, we recommend that you double weigh it. Like you weigh it on one scale and then you weigh it on a second scale to make sure that your weight was right.
Hey, okay. Wild thought. If you're just ingesting caffeine in a granular form, like raw, dehydrated, whatever, don't.
You watched a guy whose heart exploded in basic training.
Yes.
Too much caffeine.
Really?
Yes. I was stationed at Fort Bliss, Texas, in El Paso, Texas. And it was common. Pre-workout was just becoming popular in 2008, 2009.
Was the big one.
Yeah, and it was, I forget what, can you search what campus or college made Jack 3D? It's JACK 3, the number 3, and then a D. But this college basically made this sports performance powder called Jack 3D, and it looked like jacked whenever you read it. But some kid took like a scoop of it, like it said to, and then happened to be drinking a Monster that same day or that same morning, finished his Monster or whatever, and then he found out for their workout that morning they were going on a 20-mile run. And he just, I don't know if you know much about the Army, but you don't really get a say in what you get to do and not do. And so they were like, we're going on a run. He was like, all right, I'm just going to give it my best.
And you're not like in like a tank top and like, Daisy Dukes.
Yeah. It's not great, man.
Do you guys have like customers you think that go in multiple times a day?
Oh, yeah. We got people that like set up shop and basically just get refills all day long.
I wonder if there'll eventually be a law that you got to cut somebody off after so many coffees.
No, I think the general consensus is, or at least I've heard amongst other coffee drinkers, is you've had enough when you get the shake. You know, when you get a shake, it's like, all right, let's tie it up for the day.
That's an interesting question. I do think we would probably have. I'm hoping that our employees would have like the wisdom to recognize like, all right, this is somebody who's like overserved, like they are beyond some sort of certain line here, but we haven't had it yet.
If we're just talking about like a cup of black coffee, that's 50 milligrams of caffeine, maybe. I mean, you would literally have to have like 20 cups of black coffee for it to like, all right, maybe I need to go to the hospital. And even then, maybe at that point, like you're probably still not too bad off at like, I don't know, 1,000 milligrams or 1,500 milligrams.
I don't know. This guy took like 5,000.
Yeah, that's not great.
Yeah, I mean, you got things that are sort of working for you in your body, like how much, the size of your stomach, how quickly your body can metabolize, anything that might slow some things down a little bit.
So
we're not going to put coffee powder on the menu anytime soon.
I wouldn't. Let's stay away from that.
Did you like coffee like in high school and stuff?
No. Actually, interestingly enough, it wasn't until I was about 30. And
late
also,
bloomer.
Interestingly, I had a Monster energy drink addiction, like in my late 20s. And like I would drink 2, sometimes 3, 4 a day.
4?
Yeah. And then I actually got hospitalized with some stroke-like symptoms. They didn't officially say that I had a stroke, but I like lost the ability to speak, couldn't feel like half of my body. And I was with my kids and I was like trying to like tell my kids like, hey, call somebody. Like I was typing on my phone to my son. I was like, call somebody. I am not okay. Like it was a really scary moment for them.
And when was that?
So this probably would have been, how old am I? About 14, 15 years ago. And then it was like I had to cut that out of my life. And I was like, well, maybe I should try coffee again.
Do you think coffee's like beer where you got to acquire the taste for it?
It was for me, for sure. Yeah. I didn't like the taste of beer. Does anybody like the taste of beer? Their first taste?
Love it.
The first taste?
First taste? No.
Yeah.
It was
the
atrocious.
First taste. It was atrocious.
My thoughts on that are like, they say beer is an acquired taste. That really just means it tastes like shit. And if you drink it enough, you don't mind it anymore.
You start to associate the feeling you get with it
to the taste.
Yeah.
See, I thought with your recent haircut, you were going to be like, that's bullshit. I loved beer from day one.
No, I don't like beer.
Pabst Blue Ribbon, probably for you.
Around that time when around that time when you stopped drinking Monster and switched to coffee, is that when you were like, I kind of want to open my own place?
No. I'll tell you what. So the first coffee that like tasted really good to me was on Main Street in Evansville. Here was a little coffee stand called Lucid. There's a guy named Ben Madsen. He's out of the coffee game right now. I'll say like R.I.P. pouring out for Ben. He's doing other things, but it was an Ethiopia Yirgacheffe pour over, and I was like, wow, this tastes good. This doesn't taste. Like I didn't love Folgers.
Yeah.
Starbucks, if I had enough milk and sugar to it, tasted all right. But
yeah,
from there, that's when it started to. I really wanted to encourage him to grow his coffee shop a little bit further, and that kind of got the wheels turning a little bit. But it was really my now wife Jessica that got the coffee shop wheels turning.
So before you get into the coffee game, what did you do before that? Because you're 30 when you start this venture? I mean, like, what are you doing before?
Oh, no, dude, I was
slinging beans,
36.
You know? Yeah.
I've done a bunch of different things. I was a teacher for a little while.
Oh, gross.
Like going like in reverse chronological order. Let's see, before that,
Do you like kids? I'm so bad with children.
I do, man.
I could not imagine being a teacher. I get anxiety.
No, I've always loved kids.
What class did you teach?
Before that, I taught at a middle school and upper school at Evansville Day School, actually.
Oh.
Was it a specific subject, or was it like elementary where you taught them all?
No. I mean, it was a smaller campus, so you had to teach several different courses to make it work, but it was a lot of social studies and literature. I taught world religions, geography, psychology, a bunch of different things sort of in that sort of space.
Nice. And then so were you like, you became a pastor after that?
No, reverse chronologically, actually like sort of started as a pastor. So like when I was like a teenager, like I was like my hobby, like the things that I got into was religion. Like I would like get really into my Bible, like how you're getting into the Quran right now.
Yeah.
I would really get into the Bible. And it actually started out more as like a tool of debate. So I grew up in the Phoenix area, specifically a town called Gilbert, which is very near to a town called Mesa, which was founded by Mormons, or Latter-day Saints as they call themselves. And like 60% of my middle school was Mormon. So like they were the majority. And, you know, in middle school when you're socially, you know, kind of things are getting sorted out. And if you're on the outside of the in-group, that sucks. And so for me to be able to engage with them, I was like, I'm going to learn my Bible so I can debate theology with these people.
Oh, so you were looking into like a lot of commentaries and like the history on like specific books and stuff?
Yeah. Or even just like memorizing verses that I felt of the Bible that were contradicting the theology of the Mormon faith. And it was fun in my middle school days.
That kind of brings me back to what you said a minute ago about bringing meaning to
meaning making
things. Yeah, meaning making. Pardon me. But yeah, it seems like you were kind of doing that even at a younger age, like before you probably even realized you were doing it.
Yeah. Well, and what happens, and maybe I'm really interested in your journey through Islam as well. It's like the reason I got into the Bible was maybe not the best reason. It was to be able to debate and feel like maybe intellectually superior to my peers. But then I was kind of convicted by the message of the Bible and just the claims of Christianity to have like a real meaningful connection with Jesus and be transformed. And so probably like my freshman year, like that actually happened. I was like, I can't just be getting into this so that I can hurt people. There's some truth in here, and there's like a call to be a better version of myself within here that I'm actually resonating with. And so then it became less about trying to, fight and debate, and more about how can I learn more about how this is calling me to be the best version of myself.
So you quit like intellectually choke slamming people, and then you were like, I actually love God.
I think religion gives you that ego death of like
it should.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't always. I mean, we have examples in like every faith of like people who are assholes and very much on their terms still aligned with their faith or their theology in some way.
Yeah.
But something broke through there to where I was like, no, I believe this. I get this. And so I kind of went all in on being a Christian. And then when you get to high school and you got to choose a career, I chose that I was going to be a pastor.
I feel like religion reminds me a lot of the ocean.
Say more.
In that they're both extremely humbling and also worrisome. Like when I when I get into the ocean, like
we know more about space than we do the ocean.
That's my point. So like you say you're deep sea fishing, and then a couple of guys, they've had too many beers and they jump into the ocean. I mean, you're in the middle of nowhere, some coral reef somewhere maybe, but there's a drop off somewhere. You're just out in the middle of the ocean. So when you jump into that water, I don't know if you've ever done an open water swim.
No.
It's fucking terrifying. So a lake is bad, and that's what I have experience with. I've been in the ocean, but not out in the ocean. But I feel like that anxiety, I get that same anxiety and that same humbleness when I think deeply about religion. It like
He's a good meaning maker right here. I like this.
Yeah. So, like, if you look at it long enough, if you look at religion long enough, you're like, oh, fuck, I'm in this ocean.
The abyss stares back at you.
Yeah. Now you're. It's like overwhelming to me.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. The same way about the ocean, I feel about religion.
I got into. I was hardcore like Christian, and then I moved down here from Indianapolis, and like kind of lost touch with that because I went from like a very strict religious household and like just like a not so great stepdad situation with the religion and everything along those lines
to dating strippers.
And well, yeah, and I moved down here and had no rules. I got to do my own thing. 17, and then my dad was more of a friend than a dad, so it like he would buy me smokes and whatever I wanted, he would buy, and basically lost myself and all that. And then when I started like looking back into religion and everything along those lines, I was like, the only thing I know about Islam is what was told to me by this person that I don't necessarily agree with or like. So I just looked into it and I was like, well, this is nothing like what I was told.
That's wild, man.
And there's not to go deep in the Quran, but there's some the Quranic miracles or whatever. It was like stuff that Muhammad couldn't have known back then, or stuff that people couldn't have known when the Quran was which is like written. So it was really spoken and then memorized.
There's a fucking teacher in the room, dude.
Former teacher.
But you mentioned,
I'm really sorry for him.
You mentioned the ocean or whatever, and it talks about in the Quran like where saltwater and freshwater meet that they don't mix.
Yeah,
and they found that out.
The estuary? Is that what that's called?
I believe so.
I'm not.
Yeah. The two densities of the liquids will separate one another.
So what do you do after you get out of? I guess you get out of, what do they call that?
Bible college?
Yeah, Bible college.
Yeah, me and Eric DeLong went to the same college.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, we called it Bible college, yeah. So
okay.
I got a degree in the Bible.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Seminary.
Seminary might be slightly different, even like more advanced, like maybe after you get a certificate or an undergrad.
Is that where they go more in depth on like the Greek language and stuff along those lines?
We did a little Greek. I learned a little Greek.
Dabble in the Greek.
Hello, ne, ophile.
I've been getting into Latin lately. So.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's amazing. And actually, it was through Bible college that for me, I got exposed to a lot more nuance. I was reading the Bible in English, right? And then I was like, wait, English wasn't even invented as a language when all of the Bible was written.
No.
So it's like I'm interpreting these things in a very black and white manner. Like, hey, Jesus said this, God said that. It's like, wait, I'm interpreting that and reading that and thinking that all in English.
Hey, do you think Abraham knew about Japanese people?
No,
probably not.
I do not.
What do you think they were up to, dude?
No, absolutely. You think about those things. You're like,
I'm just thinking out, like, because in the mainland, like in the landlocked areas, like it was just kind of like a bunch of Jewish folks hanging out, and they were all like hanging,
I would say Aramaic folks
or Aramaic folks hanging out, and they're just chilling. But then you got these like Samoan folks and like Islander folks and like Japanese and like all these people that are literally in the middle of nowhere. Like what are they doing?
God didn't have a plan for them.
What are they doing, huh?
That's kind of the interesting thing about
where you at, Abraham?
Like the Mormon church, like their whole thing was kind of creating. This is going to sound dismissive, like I'm saying it wasn't inspired by God, but I guess that is what I'm saying. Like Joseph Smith's whole thing was, how did the original Native Americans get to know God? And they believed that like Jesus, after he like ascended, from the cross,
North America.
Yeah, he came down to North America and he talked to the Nephites and the Lamanites, and he basically said, "Hey, who's with me? Who's not with me?" Yeah. And those records were kept and buried in the ground in New York. And then Joseph Smith found them like in the 1800s, and wild. Bada boom, bada bing, Bob's your uncle.
Wild. So like Jesus just like came down and.
But you were talking about the Greek and how there's different things. Like a lot of people are like, "Oh, Islam believes in 7 heavens." Well, not really. That number 7 is used to mean many. So it's the many heavens, like like space, basically, like the many galaxies.
The amount of shit in the Bible that has been mistranslated over and over, and that now develops into God hates gay people. Sure. It's just like
it's so hard to, like, I think that's what happened is like you turn a certain age, you start to get a little more mature, and
Yeah.
things that were so black and white for you at a certain age, like just start to become more gray. And I think that's a sign of maturity. You got to think like, I can't have the answers to everything and attribute it to this book in this way and have confidence that that's how the God of the universe wanted it to be.
Right.
And so I just added a lot more grace and kind of a liberalness to my sort of faith. And then I had a couple negative experiences, like being a pastor, like two church splits, like right out of the gate. Like, so in my mid-20s, we had 2 church splits, and I said, I don't know if I want to work in church anymore. Maybe I want to get a different way to have a vocation and then just sort of attend church.
I know a guy that was running a church up in Do you know the town Francisco, just north of us?
Yes, yeah, I do.
No, I almost said he's a friend of mine. He's not a friend of mine. But I know a guy. I know a guy who is running I forget what they call it. They dance with the snakes. Pentecostal church up there. And they were doing some weird snake stuff, and he turned it into a cult like real fast. Yeah, it got real cult.
So what'd you do when you got out of the church game? Well, teaching.
Got into the mortgage industry, actually. So this would have been like 2005, 2006. And the mortgage industry was hopping, especially in Phoenix, where I was at. And so like if you had a pulse, then you could get a job.
Did you
slinging loans?
Did you quit roughly around 2008, or did you make it through?
Things got a little crazy in 2008.
Yeah, shit got sticky.
Yeah, and then I got divorced in 2008 as well, and had 3 kids at that point, and then relocated back to Evansville in like early 2009, and like kind of restarted things.
And just so I'm following the timeline properly, you were born in Arizona.
Yes,
right?
born in Arizona in 1980. So 2009, I'd be 29.
Raised there until when?
Till I went to Kentucky Christian College in 1998.
Did that, and then found yourself in Kentucky doing this mortgage stuff?
No, this would have been Phoenix. So
you went back to Phoenix.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lived in Detroit for about a year and a half. Fun fact about that timeline: I lived in a town. I lived on one side of 8 Mile, and my church was on the other side of 8 Mile when the movie 8 Mile came out. Eminem's movie 8 Mile.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun. It wasn't as rough as that movie portrayed in that part of the town. But,
well, of course it's not. He's got to get his cred where he can, you know.
Oh, I'm sure. It
maybe
was
back then
enough.
it was. I don't know. Who knows?
So how'd you meet your wife now?
I met my wife now when I was living in Evansville in 2015, and she was my accountant, actually. So I think I skipped like 3 careers in there, but at some point I ended up doing digital marketing.
Okay.
And I had a gig out in Silicon Valley, and I was doing a lot of traveling, and you have expenses. You have Ubers, you have meals, and you go to coffee shops. And she's doing my receipts, and she's like, wow, you drink a lot of coffee. This is after I had my stroke.
You've
and
met
stuff like that.
You've met the coffee gods at this point, and you're like, this is what
This is what I'm all about.
Yeah.
And she's like, wow, can I tell you about my dream? And I'm like,
this is so wild.
Sure, yeah. And so I basically just know her as an accountant.
Yeah.
But she goes into like this whole different mode of describing this amazing coffee shop with light colors and clean lines. And like she's got a sister who lives in California, and she wanted to bring kind of like a California West Coast vibe to it.
Yeah.
And like you could just tell that she had put a lot of thought and passion was coming out of her as she was describing it. And I was super caught up in it, and it was just intoxicating to like hear her say this.
The passion.
And I knew that our community needed it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, when is this going to happen? And she's like, oh, no. I'm not going to do this. This is way too risky. And I was like, that's actually not acceptable. Like I think this is what you were meant to do. You just change. I just watched you change as you described that. This is what you were meant to do. Yeah. If you need support with this, then I would like to partner with you on this.
And coffee's a great business, similar to pizza with the markup and everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, it can be. Most coffee shops actually fail, like financially. Like I think it's like 6 out of 10 coffee shops fail.
Is there like a timeline? So they say like podcasts, most podcasts fail before they reach 10 episodes. So really? Is there like a most coffee shops fail before they reach 3 years?
Yeah, it's about 3 to 5 years. If you make it 5 years, you're pretty much good. And then there's also like there's some sort of magic that happens when you can make 2 to 3 locations work.
Right.
And we've kind of experienced that
I'm about
as well.
to open a 4th.
Yeah. So having like, it's not like a mo money, mo problems kind of thing, but there are some economies of scale that
Growing
you gain
pains.
when you're like in a market. Like we look at AZIP, you mentioned pizza as well. Like AZIP's like
guy's
a
a
great
genius.
example
Yeah.
of being able to leverage their reputation within a market in a way to be successful and sustainable.
Modern day alum.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I need to
and
get
Purdue
him
alum.
in here. Yeah,
Brad?
Purdue alum.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brad
Nehemiah.
Amari. We need to get him in here, dude. But yeah, he won that contest up in Purdue, I believe, at college.
Yep.
And then his senior year, they were just like, "Hey, here's $50,000, and then start your business."
That was it. And
Yeah.
and I mean,
That's
and it's
neat,
not
man.
just the money. Like, he did have that kind of clear vision of
The same thing
this
she
is,
had.
Yep, exactly.
So
exactly.
what would separate Honeymoon from a regular coffee shop? Is it where you guys get your beans sourced, or cherries as you call them, or
Yeah, that is a funny thing about coffee. So like a coffee bean is actually like a seed of like a cherry. Like you pull the mucilage, the fruit meat off of this cherry and get it. What makes us different? I think it's one of those things that's harder for anybody to trust what I would say about that. Like I would trust what our customers would say.
And this
more
is
than-
where Brian chimes in.
There you go.
I've been getting your guys' call. So my sister-in-law is from a cornfield in Illinois. She's Illinoisian. But when they come and visit us and stay the night here, she's obsessed with Honeymoon.
Really?
She's obsessed. Like obsessed. She went to school here for a little bit, and I think that's how she found out about it. And every trip she makes here, now she's going to Honeymoon. And every time she goes, I'm like, yeah, you know what to do.
Awesome.
You know what to do. But I would say the thing that separates you guys from someone like Starbucks or even what was White Swan, who has now merged with Lawman Tactical.
Lawman Tactical, yep.
But what separates you guys from all these other coffees that I've had, and I'm a coffee, not connoisseur, but advocate at the very least. I'm very pro coffee. I just get the regular espresso. Just espresso,
Double shot.
milk, set it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Set it up, knock it down, start the day. And your espresso, for whatever reason, had the most unique flavor. There was nothing added to it. I check every time. I'm like, you didn't do anything weird to this? She's like, no. And it's just a very unique flavor. It's nothing. It's all positive. It definitely, that's what separates you from me. That I can blindfoldedly drink a double espresso, and I'm like, I already know where this is from.
That's great to hear. First of all, thank you. I think what we do try to do is, and I would say that almost like when you ask me what makes us different, I don't know if another business owner would say something different than what I'm about to say. Is like we try and strive for high quality in everything that we do. But I do think that for many occasions, we sort of listen to what our customers actually respond to and resonate with. Like there's your stated preferences, like, hey, this is what I like. And then there's your revealed preferences by like how you actually act. Where do you spend your money?
Yeah.
So I think I was saying earlier, we had a kind of a friends and family opening weekend. And you're not going to be able to sustain a business just on those relationships.
No.
It's who is going to go out of their way and make new rhythms and
like habits of going to the place?
exactly. Like they're going to speak with their wallets, speak with their feet. And so for early days, we didn't have any food. We were like, hey, we're just going to be coffee purists. We'll have a local coffee roaster.
It's easier. It's easier that way. It's
Yeah.
cleaner. It's less money. It's less involved.
Well, you don't have to get a certain license. You have to get a license to serve food, don't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, some of the stuff with having a kitchen is you have to jump through the same hoops, whether you're serving food or not. But there are, if we're frying food, it's going to be at a different level.
Yeah.
But the whole thing with having a clear vision, you could say, what makes a successful entrepreneur, a successful company is having a clear vision. But if you're not listening to your customers and responding, you're not going to have a business that's sustainable after a certain amount of time. And then there's like the other side of that coin, or if you just listen to certain customers, the noisy customers, the complainers, you're actually not responding to maybe the more silent majority that's speaking with their wallets and saying, what are people actually spending their money on?
So did you guys already have the honey lavender before you opened, or was that something, God bless you, that you grew into?
Thank you.
No, the honey.
Wow.
Actually, you know what? The honey lavender was. Gosh, now you put me on the spot. I think it was early days. Might not have been before we opened. I think for me, because I was, like I said, big on like meaning making. I was like, all right, we're called Honeymoon. We know what honey tastes like. We can put honey in a drink. What does the moon taste like? Like, does it taste like cheese? That's what I was thinking too. I was like, that sounds like a terrible drink.
If you weren't so far away, we could tap
we'll
it.
fist bump
Yeah,
right
we'll high five.
But
after.
a honey cheese drink sounds ridiculous.
It does. That sounds atrocious.
But like, you know, if you're doing, I don't know, like a tea at night, or if you do like Epsom salts, you might get like a lavender sort of. It feels like a nighttime kind of smell, taste. I was like,
Yeah,
maybe nighttime smells like lavender. Like lavender. Let's try honey and lavender together, and it happened to taste really good.
you know, when I think about the moon, I think about this is I like how this
the colon t-shirt on.
This is where the dialogue has gone to. When I think about the moon, Drew, what do you think about when I think about the moon? Seriously though, I think of like jasmine for whatever reason.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like it has a very strong scent that you catch in the cool night breeze. I don't know.
Maybe we need to try that.
You know, maybe name it after Brian. I don't know.
You
Whatever.
got it.
Do you guys sell like local shops stuff in your
Say again.
like local, like a local painter like would maybe
Yes.
sell their picture there? Or,
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like a local artist, yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a handful of pieces of art that we've sort of collected over the years, which have come from local artists that we featured for a month. And actually, one of the things that we do focus on, again, for random meaning-making ways, and maybe you'll appreciate this from an Islamic perspective, is we build everything off of the lunar cycle.
Oh,
And
shit.
so instead of like the pizza of the month, which AZIP does, which is great, we do a lunar cycle waffle. And so we have this bubble waffle that does actually, to answer your question previously, what sets us apart, our menu is kind of unique. The bubble waffle is kind of a
sounds
unique
like
thing.
it. I've not
There's
had
a
your
picture
food.
of it right there.
Wow.
So instead of like a traditional kind of like Belgian square concave kind of waffle, we've got these Hong Kong style bubble waffles.
I like that.
And that really resonated with people. And so, yeah, every lunar cycle, we come out with a new waffle to feature. Right now, it's the Graceland waffle, based off of the start of this lunar cycle, which was August 16th, which, if you are an Elvis fan, you will know that is the date that he died in 1977.
Shout out to the king, man.
There you go.
Gosh, shaking, grooving, moving. He had hips like Mick Jagger before Jagger, dude.
I got a question for you. Have you ever practiced Ramadan?
I did Ramadan this last year.
How was it? Wait, let's
was
see.
different.
What months would it have been? What time
It
of year?
was cold. I think it was in November this last year.
Oh,
or
that's not
October.
bad. That's not bad.
But
Because you know it's the sunlight hours.
Right.
Yeah,
And then that's
dude.
what like their prayers rotate based on how long the days are.
Yeah.
So back then it was nice because you're waking up at like 6 a.m. for morning prayer. Now it's like 4:30 in the morning, and you're like, whoa! Like it moved an hour and a half back. But it was definitely interesting because you think, oh, a fast, well, I can do that. But then you find out that it's no food or water.
It's the water, man.
Yeah, and it's the water. Like wanting something to drink is like,
Oh yeah. I did it in 2011, and it happened to it coincided with the month of August, which we're in August right now. So
Yeah.
August with no water for
While
an
the
entire
sun's
month
up.
while the sun's out. I mean, it was
That's brutal.
hellacious.
but
That's
I
brutal.
feel like you learned a lot.
1,000%. Absolutely.
Did you follow all the way through? Did you make it through?
Yeah,
the whole
yeah, I
thing?
did. And you learn that there's some concessions, some practical concessions, like if you're a woman who's menstruating or could possibly be
If you're
conceiving or breastfeeding, like it's like, no, you don't fast, you make it up later in the
same
year.
if you're sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're traveling, you take those travel days off and you make them up later in the year. It's not so legalistic as
So-
to be.
I have a question for you now.
Yeah.
As far as the shop goes, or the shops, plural,
Mhm.
because there are 3, soon to be 4, right?
Yeah.
In the coffee shops themselves, what sort of physical activity is going on in there. I mean, do you guys ever do any kind of events or anything? Do you ever do like, I don't know, like a
trivia nights, concerts,
trivia
stuff like
nights? Do you ever have like a jazz guy come in? Shout out to
that? Monty Skelton.
Yeah, Monty. Need to get him on the show as well. But do you ever have folks like this come through?
We
or
did.
anything like
We
that
had.
going on?
There was definitely a moment after COVID, or sorry, pre-COVID, where we were ramping that up a little bit more, and then COVID, everything just got strange with being able to have events, and we haven't quite picked that up with a regular cadence. We've had the occasional like trivia night, like we did a Harry Styles trivia night, which those high
It's
school,
intense.
college girlies went crazy for,
It's intense.
and a Taylor Swift one that also did really well. But we got to be careful with musicians. Like you have to get specific licenses to be able to.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because if they're too loud, then it's an issue.
Well, no. Well, there might be that as well, sound ordinance. But it's. I think it's more about the performance of songs that you if they're
Like
unless they're
licensing.
if they're performing all original music, it's probably fine. But if you're trying to draw in a crowd and you're not known as a music venue, it's probably going to be covers that you're going after.
I did not know that.
What were some of the growing pains you think you guys experienced in the first few years of Honeymoon?
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, I think realizing fairly quickly that it's not quite the gold mine that gold mine that you think it might be, that it's something where you can, we both have 3 kids as well. We have a kind of a Brady Bunch situation. So we have nothing expenses to be able to take care of our families. Right. And so we both maintained full and part-time jobs after we launched and had to, have managers and a whole crew to kind of keep things running.
Hold on. So you have 3 kids.
I have 3 kids. Yeah. And she has 3 different kids.
You guys have like the offensive line for the Bears, dude. What is happening?
We're more of a defensive line family. Actually, her youngest is
We got the
Kentucky
secondary.
Wesleyan right now. He plays defensive line for them.
Oh my gosh, that's so many children. That's so many children.
And that's so many
asked if we like
activities
kids.
that you got to make.
Oh, yeah.
So you guys are probably big on like routine and schedule and.
Yeah. We have to be able to be flexible to go to a volleyball game, a football game, a wrestling match, cheerleading, whatever it needs to happen to be good parents.
So what was, I'm going to come at this very clinically and scientifically. What was integration like? When you two first met, when the 3 meets, was it like a 3v3, like battle royale to the death? Or were they just like, hey, I like Pokemon. And this guy's like, hey, I like football. And, like, how did that how did that go? Or what was that like?
Her boys are slightly older, so her youngest is just younger than my oldest. So that was like the only overlap. And then she has 3 boys, and I have a boy and 3 girls. So then I had like our 2 that were born in 2004 together, and then she had 2 older boys, and I had 2 younger girls. And so there wasn't a lot of huge overlap and conflict
It's like
and
bird
tension or
shot.
anything.
You're just covering the whole spectrum.
Exactly.
You got
They all did their own thing.
So did you guys have
neat,
employees right from the start?
Oh yeah, we started. That actually was also a little bit unique. We started with I think 10 or so employees from day one. We started with a crew, so that was nice because we could sort of say, "Hey, we're all in this together. This is a team thing," and we had an amazing crew that sort of stepped up.
Was that stressful?
Yeah, but like in such a good way. Like we love it. Like that's still to this day like our favorite part.
And I guess a marketing person and an accountant, that's like a power couple team right there.
Oh yeah. No, like I had a lot of big lofty ideas and but she had so much of the sort of reality check of this is how you make sure that this is something that can be sustainable, which is how it's been sustainable. We got a good yin and yang.
Do all 3 of your current shops have like a similar aesthetic?
I'd say similar, but different enough to where you wouldn't. I think at this point of our growth, we are mindful of every location having its own personality.
And going back to the crew members, like the original 10 that you started with, I mean, do you still have some of them with you?
No, and fortunately or unfortunately, we know that people may be with us for a season, and we're at a stage now where we have a handful of like salaried employees that people that are able to actually like make coffee their career and, take care of their families, on being employees for us. But early on, we knew that it was like kind of the type of job that you would have for a season, maybe as you were working towards something else. And and we celebrated that. Like you guys had Jax Fleming on for a while. Like he was an employee with us.
He really?
Yeah, he became
sick.
A manager for us. But we knew he was just going to be a rock star.
Right? No, probably lost a good amount of female clients when he...
That dude.
That probably followed him around
he's a
wherever he went.
pretty man.
He is a pretty man. But he still comes in as a customer and a friend. And
I think he had honeymoon that day we had him on.
He did. And also, shout out to Jax, man. You're snapping dicks. I'm serious, dude. That dude is...
It was fun because like I would come in sometimes after hours and see him like mopping the floors and like singing into the back end of the mop. I mean, you can imagine it in your mind right now. Like you knew that's what his thing was, but he wasn't going to pay his bills with that day.
No.
So he got with us and worked with us. And
did you meet Wes through Jax?
Actually, interestingly, AZIP is going to come up for like the however many time. No, I met him just at AZIP. Like I was just a customer at AZIP, and I was pretty diehard March Crabness guy, and so I'm going multiple times a week to get my fix.
Yeah, and
just end up talking to him, and he's got a good vibe, and the conversation started to get progressively deeper, and went from there.
This men's retreat thing.
Yeah.
Have you always done that? So I know that's like a church thing. I remember going to men's retreats throughout the church and like Bible summer camp and
what
stuff
is a
like
men's
that.
retreat?
So mine is definitely not a church thing, but it kind of feels churchy in some of the best ways for us. No, this was something that I actually went to in England in 2021, and just these guys were sort of post-COVID saying, hey, we're going to have a men's retreat. If you feel like you're called to this, then let's go.
What does that mean, called to this? Is this like the bat light symbol in the sky? Or
I don't know. I mean, we talked before we started recording, like, hey, we're going to let the Spirit guide this conversation.
It was the Spirit?
That's honestly the thing. Like I talked about being into sort of religion early on and feeling called into something, and then it going less of black and white and more into gray and more of like even visceral, where you just sort of like know, like you feel called to something. You're like, I can't not do this. I will regret not doing this, or I feel like this is something that I am specifically called to do. And I felt that. And like, I assume you guys have felt that. Maybe you felt that with this podcast, like in your lives where you just know like, okay, this is my work to do. So I will be doing myself, God, the world, whatever, a disservice by not responding to this call.
And a men's retreat is just a group of guys that basically go out into either a cabin or an area in the woods, or, basically just a gathering of guys, and they bond all week, and then they maybe have some like common topics that they talk on, or like a certain course they look into more.
Okay. Can there be alcohol involved?
We did do a little bit of alcohol on one day. So we actually went through a framework. There's this book that came out called King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. And it's about the 4 masculine archetypes.
Okay.
And so we broke up the weekend into focusing on different elements of these masculine archetypes. So during the sort of magician evening of Saturday evening, we allowed a little bit of alcohol.
A little tomfoolery.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. I like that a lot.
But we got into some really intense breath work as well. So I don't know. Have you guys ever done breath work before or heard of it?
I've tried. So we were training for a triathlon, and I kind of got into it then because it's so taxing on your lungs and your blood.
Was it Wim Hof stuff?
Slightly. We talked a little bit about Wim Hof.
There's also a book called Breathe that's just on the benefits of nasal breathing and only breathing through your nose.
Yeah, I've dabbled. This guy has more experience than I do, but a lot of like sitting in the sauna, close your eyes, take in, take out.
Wim Hof methods.
Did you ever do any of the cold water stuff with the breathing methods and all that?
I didn't do a cold water plunge and breathe into that. We did do the polar plunge this last year, though.
I didn't do any breathing then. I think I was completely expelled the entire time I was in the water.
But we did a lot of breath work when we were working on swimming, training for the triathlon.
Yeah.
And I really got into, once you get into like almost a routine of it and it becomes second nature, you almost zone out into that meditative state, almost like what you would reach with Wim Hof.
Well, I mean, I used to be on a swim team, and that is like a big part of that is, and what Thomas was saying, like once you get into it, kind of just zone out.
And you forget.
And then, you're like, I don't know how long I've been swimming for. I'm just going to stop when I feel it.
A lot of people don't know that your lungs, your breathing, it's all intercostal muscles and your diaphragm that's controlling that entire situation down there. So as soon as you train that diaphragm and those intercostal muscles to react a certain way and to contract for so long and then stop.
And Wim Hof's big on getting down to, is it 10 or 12 breaths per minute? But like if you do his method long enough and you retrain yourself, you get down to like 10 breaths per minute.
Speaking of breath work, did you guys see the longest breath or the deepest breath?
No.
Oh my gosh,
the
dude.
documentary?
Yeah, on Netflix. Pull it up, Drew.
I'm intrigued.
Oh my God, do you know anything about free diving?
These are the guys that get to the bottom of like a
There's a
coral
tribe
reef
in
or something.
Indonesia or something like that.
So will you pull up
me.
the deepest breath? Is this? Yeah, this is okay. So the deepest breath on Netflix. It's a documentary they made. Free diver trains to break the world record with help from expert safety diver. This film follows the paths they look to meet the pinnacle of free diving, where basically the antagonist is this young lady who's in her 20s, and free diving is essentially where you start at the surface, take one deep breath, and you go down. And you just go down, and you just go down, and you just go. And this young lady was going 300 feet underwater, 300 feet into open ocean water. Dude, the documentary, I can't recommend that enough. I cannot recommend that enough. But breath work is huge for these folks.
That sounds terrifying.
Oh, it is, dude. It is.
What's it like when you go to open your second location?
It's a lot of deep breaths. No, the second location for us actually happened. There's actually two versions of that because we opened a location inside of Old National Bank, which ultimately failed during COVID. And so that was a good lesson learned of it was harder for us to achieve the kind of like vibe and space that we needed to when we were having to kind of submit to how they wanted to run like a bank lobby.
Right.
Like that's a different vibe than a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Then our second full location actually came from a customer who came up to me one day and said, "Hey, what advice would you give for somebody looking to open up their own coffee shop?" And I was super stressed out and like in a bad mood or whatever. And I was like, just don't do it. Like, that's my advice. Like, don't do it. It's too hard.
It's not worth it.
And then I was like, all right, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, actually, I'm sorry. Tell me more about your vision. And she wanted to get into like the day-to-day. She had a couple careers and she realized like that a vision is going to take some hard work. And she was into the day-to-day. She wanted to be in the kitchen, be behind the bar, grinding. She didn't care about developing a brand or developing the space. It's like she just wanted to operate. And I was like, well, what if we just had you open up your own location that you operate, but you like kind of buy into our company as a partner,
like a franchise-esque thing,
but tighter than a franchise. Like we were very involved in it, and it worked until COVID happened, and it became a lot more challenging. And she got to scratch that itch and found out it wasn't for her, and went back to something else.
What advice would you give for somebody like that? So, like my girlfriend used to work at Starbucks for like 6 years, and still deep down inside she's like, I eventually want to open like a coffee shop or something along those lines. Like, what advice would you give to somebody?
The advice that's coming up for me right now is plan on it being 5 times harder than you can imagine, and figure out like how long you can go of it being like super challenging and even like shitty.
Like if you can handle the pressure and anxiety.
Yeah, that sounds bad. That makes it sound like people who failed just like didn't have the gumption or whatever. But it's a lot harder than you think it will be, and you need some lucky breaks.
Do you think there would be any prerequisite that may help before someone got to that jumping off point? Like in my head, I'm imagining like, okay, if I want to open a coffee shop and I just got that piece of advice you gave me, I'm thinking, okay, so this is going to suck pretty bad. So can I handle that? Let me, like, is there something I can do that will suck?
Like some prehab?
Bad?
Well,
that will like help me
prepare you
see
for it.
if I can even handle something else that sucks really bad. Do you know? Have you ever,
I think if you
like,
sort of look back in your life of like, what are the like, if you tend to be a person that bails when things get hard,
yeah,
that's again, it's almost like instead of like revealed preferences versus stated preferences, it's like your revealed stick-to-itiveness versus what you say you're going to be able to stick to.
Right.
So it's like if you look back, do you bail when things get hard? You're probably going to bail at this too. And if you don't, then maybe that's what you have to look forward to and build on.
I think that having that fortitude, I mean, in anything in life is beneficial. I mean, in anything, because our day-to-day is so mundane, but like you get so like burnt out on so much, we all do, on different shit. So like the more that you can just keep your foot on the gas and like stay nose to the grindstone, I feel like that's a beneficial attribute to have in life in general.
Can I build on that actually a little bit?
Yeah.
I don't want to undersell the fact that Jessica and I are different, and that there is something about that, the different strengths and weaknesses that you bring to the table. You pick up on when it's your turn to lead, when it's your turn to follow and kind of submit. Maybe that's like we were saying with you and your wife, like you guys are past the 7-year itch now. Like you figured something out. Sometimes she leads, sometimes you lead. You guys have like this co-led or three-headed monster, I guess, with Drew kind of podcast.
We call it a tripod.
It wouldn't be the same, you know. I don't know if you would have been able to stick it out by yourself, or you by yourself. Here I'm gesturing in an audio format to two different people, but
well, there's video. Yeah, I mean for the folks just listening. But yeah, I mean, Drew really brings the tripod to life. So I don't think I
got that third leg.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about, dude. That's what I'm talking. Fuck,
things
dude.
are about to get really weird,
dude. I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. You motivate the shit out of me. Today, I'm like thriving with. It's like in my. It's
in your
visceral,
colon?
dude.
Yeah.
It's in my colon, bro.
I don't want to be anywhere near your colon.
Coffee's great for that too, by the way.
Great for colon health.
So, do you guys get your beans from a specific region in the world?
No. So cool.
Do you have a
story
Colombian
for
out
us.
back that grows it for you?
Oh,
A Colombian? Why did we have to go like?
Colombian
regional?
has really
get
good
real
coffee.
specific.
That's true.
He's trying to ask me if I can get him some. And
That is legal in Colombia now.
You know they chew on the root.
They chew on the leaf, the coca leaf.
No, when they're making, and they'll chew on the root.
Oh,
Yeah, it like gets them jazzed up.
So like the whole coffee thing that you got like a coffee shop which serves coffee to like the end customer, and then you have a coffee roaster who's roasting beans that come from all over the world, and then you've got farms from all over the world. So we actually just acquired our main coffee roasting vendor, a guy named Tim Piazza, who was one of our TEDx. We didn't even talk about TED at all. That's a whole other thing. But he started a coffee roasting company at the same time we started our coffee shop, and he roasted beans for us for the last 6-7 years. And we acquired him as he retired earlier in January of this year.
So you bought the source.
So we bought the middleman. Yeah. So now we're roasting our own beans. He's trained one of our like longtime employees. He's been with us for over 5 years now, Ethan Price. And he's now our roast master. And so we're roasting beans from Colombia, Ethiopia, Kenya, Guatemala, Honduras, Brazil.
Do you find a different do you kind of
Totally.
do them all together? Is it one per different type of coffee that you
No,
sell?
we do all sorts of blends. Actually, a cool thing we've been doing lately is partner blends. So if we get somebody like Wes with Wally Opus and his team, they actually came down and Ethan and I presented them with like a series of like 5 or 6 different blends of coffee from different parts of the world, roasted to different temperatures.
Oh shit!
And we're like, hey, taste this. Keep some notes in your head.
Yeah.
And like, we're not going to stop until we feel a full body yes.
I was going to ask you about that because I knew that Wes had done the I think it was called the Perfectly Imperfect blend.
Yeah, we landed on it. It's so good.
Why, dude?
I had a feeling that was something that you guys had worked on together, especially since he's helping you with the podcast.
Yeah,
but I wasn't sure.
I gotta say something. I'm a little taken aback. And Wes, I don't mean this harmfully. I thought I was classier than Wes. That is some grade A classy shit that he did
he's
right
a
there.
classy motherfucker.
Did you guys approach him or did he approach you?
I mean, it was natural. It just came about at the same time. Like once we did the men's retreat, like things, and I'm going to bring it back to the breathwork thing. Like there's a couple different types of breath work. Are you guys doing the Matthew McConaughey? Yeah.
You know that was improvised?
I believe it. So Wes and I are actually in a book club together now, and we're reading Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights book.
It's a great book.
It's a fun little tie in there. But there's like performance-based breath work, kind of the Wim Hof stuff, you know, like can you do more push-ups,
Tangible,
withstand cold,
physical,
you're trying to perform better.
Yeah.
And then there's like this sort of hallucinogenic
I like that
type of breath work where you like kind of get high on your own supply.
What you feel with Wim Hof when the first few times you do it?
I'm in.
So, and this framework of king, warrior, magician, lover. So we did a bunch of stuff that was warrior based. We did the ice water plunge. We did these sort of performance based breathwork things, a push up challenge, big long hike. We grappled together like as men. We're like got our hands on each other's shoulders. We're like pushing and yelling and screaming, and we're like warrior energy, right?
Right.
Then we go into that magician energy, and we do this 45-minute holotropic breath work. And Wes said that it was like the most intense, chemical based, high he'd ever experienced. Like that unlocked things for him that opened up so many different conversations in our relationship together. And
when
coffee came from that.
I got so many questions now that
I
you
know.
mentioned that. So
we gotta.
Right. Have you ever done a sensory deprivation tank?
Yes, yeah, float tanks.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They're awesome.
It's similar, but the breath work I honestly think is more intense. Yeah.
I got to get.
When
into
did you
this.
start your podcast?
The Honeymoon Coffee Company podcast, I think we've done 4 episodes now, and we do it again based on the lunar cycle. We do a new moon and a full moon is our cadence. So every couple
month?
weeks or so. Yeah.
Okay.
And what's the topic?
It's mostly question based. So we've got people can submit questions to our website, but it's sort of playing off of the energy of we are business owners together. So there are some things that are related to coffee shop, business in general, and then also just like doing business with your partner.
Like marketing, accounting, any of those kind of questions?
A little bit of the business kind of stuff. A lot of it so far has been more like employee based and just being an entrepreneur, but I assume we'll get into more of that. And then the rest of it is a little more personal, how we handle, living with each other, being with each other, talking about the business all the time. You guys are talking about a triathlon. We actually did a triathlon together last week. And so we talked about that and like
How'd you do?
I got second place in my age group.
Oh, sick,
yeah,
dude.
It was,
That's fucking tight.
It was more like how amazing was it? Like it was so much better
ours
than I
got
thought it would be.
canceled 3 days
No.
before.
Yeah, they were
That
going to do one in
sucks.
Raccoon Lake.
And all I did before the triathlon was smoke weed and sit on the couch. So I
That was
got
your
in
training?
shape. No, I'm saying like before I even started training.
Yeah.
And then I asked Brian, I was like, you want to do a triathlon? And he's like, dude, you're lazy. You sit around and smoke weed all day.
And you're like,
And I was like,
challenge
no, we're going to
accepted.
fucking do it.
Yeah.
And then they canceled it due to bacteria in the water.
Yeah, I need to put something on my calendar. I need a marathon. I
That's
need
what she
something.
did.
Yeah.
She put this on her calendar back
you're
in like
committed.
May.
You buy
and
the
we're like,
ticket.
We're committed. Exactly.
Yeah, buy the ticket. There's no way out.
Yeah.
When's the next men's retreat? I want to go.
We were going to have one this coming weekend, but it with the coffee shop and other things, like we've kind of had to put it off. But
Let us know.
yeah, we'll get Wes together and we'll do another men's retreat. And honestly, like I said, we talked about the spirit leading this conversation. Like if there are people listening to this and they're like, that men's retreat stuff sounds good, like go to my website, zacparsons.com, ZAC.
Speaking of, as we're wrapping up, well, we'll get to that at the very, very last thing. But word to the wise, or a word of the wise. Do you have a piece of nugget of knowledge that you could give to the listener or the viewer about maybe they want to start a business, maybe not a coffee shop, but maybe just anything? Like, what would be your one word? Is it to the wise or of the wise? I don't know. But, what would be your one piece of the
Probably scroll
advice?
up on my website here. It's probably written here. It's kind of like my life motto. And it's it only ends once. Anything that happens before that, progress. And so, like, that's it. Like,
that is deep.
like failures, like they're not failures. Like it only ends once. Like
Yeah,
it's just progress. It's something on the way that you can sort of reframe and do some of that meaning making and say, okay, what can I learn from this for the next thing or the next thing? Like that truly can be applied to almost any even your wins. Like it's not like it's done. It only ends once.
Keep
like it's just
going.
progress. Yeah.
Was there ever like a dark moment on this journey where like you maybe wanted to throw in the towel? And you don't have to go into that moment necessarily. More so care about what pulled you through that moment and kept you going. What kept
your foot on the
fire?
gas?
For us with Honeymoon, it was definitely COVID. And especially some of those early days things, seeing like the footage out of like New York City and Italy, where you see like hospitals full of people and they're saying like, you can't be in the same room. You can't be 6 feet away from each other. And so much of what our value proposition is, come into the same space, breathe the same air, sit 3 feet across from each other at a table. It's like, this is what we offer. And now this is going to harm people. And so, I remember a moment sitting on the couch at our wine box shop and just like realizing it was over and like looking at like, oh shit, I built that table, I laid that floor, so-and-so got engaged right over there. We fought over something in that room. Like I just had all these moments and I was like, it's done, it's over. And realizing that it wasn't over, it only ends once.
Mm-hmm.
And that our employees kind of still needed to get paid. And the government had offered this PPP program to where, you could get a loan to keep them employed. And so we're like, no, we got to keep going for our team. This is what we need to do. So that's what pulled us through was
the love of the team.
Yeah. Yeah. And they wanted to work too. They wanted to stay with it. They believed in what we were doing. And it was kind of a reciprocal energy sort of thing to where we got back going and then customers responded. They wanted to see us in business. They bought gift cards, and they were like, hey, we're not gonna cash this in for like a year if you're around. And if you're not, hey, then this is a thank you. But if you are, we'll see you in a year.
Awesome.
Shout out to those folks. And that's a testament to the types of leaders you and your wife are. And I greatly respect that you dug in, you held the trench, you know what I mean? You weathered the storm, and that's very admirable. That's a great quality to have. As we're tying up here, I'd like to give you the last couple minutes. Where can folks find you? Where can they find your podcast? Where
can they find the Honeymoon website?
Where can they physically? Where's your tangible locations?
Sure,
the last couple minutes is all you, man. So where can people find you?
So honeymooncoffeeco.com is our website. We've got 3 locations in the Evansville area. We've got one in downtown Newburgh. We've got one near the University of Evansville at Lincoln and Weinbach. And we've got one off of Burkhart and Vogel on the east side. And then under construction, literally after this, I'm going to be going to lay some more tile at our west side location coming soon, Honeymoon headquarters, where we'll also be housing the Evansville Coffee Company. So that was the name of the vendor that we acquired. And we've kept that branding. We've kept that name. So evansvillecoffee.com is another place where you can go if you want to buy coffee beans from us directly, buy Honeymoon beans, buy the Perfectly Imperfect blend.
Nice. Maybe the Days Grimm blend.
Hey,
TDG.
When you guys were showing the website and all the merch and stuff, I was like, hey, we could find our own blend. Get that full body yes from you guys.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm getting a full lower body yes right now.
And then last minute shout outs. Who got you to where you're at and who's keeping you to where you're going?
Yeah, I mean, my wife honestly is she is the person that keeps me in check. She's my cheerleader when I need her. She's the person that lets me know when I'm full of it.
Keeps you grounded.
A lot of the times, absolutely keeps me grounded. I'll also shout out Sean Georges. He's been a mentor. He was an executive with Shoe Carnival for a number of years, and he's been somebody who's been a mentor and an encourager. He was a big part of the TEDx, experience. We didn't get to talk about that very much.
Oh, we're gonna have you
really
on
cool
again
thing.
in a couple months if you're willing.
If you're a game, maybe we get the wife to come in here too and be like, "Hey, come on,
Yeah,
we'll talk her into it."
Once we get that new location open, she'd be definitely down for it. But yeah,
right.
those are the 2 people that come to mind right now.
Well, I'm just super pumped that we were able to get you in. It took a little bit of wrangling, took a little bit of roping, took a little sweet talking.
I'm doing all this tile, man.
We got you in here. Yeah, you got all the mortar and tile that you're dicking around with, and I understand that stuff's it's time consuming. when that shop opens up, I'm literally right next door to you.
Yeah,
will
we're
be
so
there.
close.
I will be there daily.
Awesome.
And did you say where that new location is going to be?
Yeah,
physically?
it's 2903 Mount Vernon Avenue. If you go down Barker Avenue from the Lloyd, it's right there at the bottom
old
of that
Rogers
hill.
Hair Academy.
That's
Yeah,
it.
old Rogers Hair Academy, kind of a notorious building. If you've seen it before, between Harmony Way and Sontag Avenue, there it's so hard to miss.
That's a sweet spot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Be
it's
Happy Pie Company, High Score Saloon, Player 2. Like, we got like a little burgeoning district over there.
Yeah,
Barker
dude.
Brew House up the hill.
Oh,
yeah, and I don't think any of them are Catholic, which is strange. But no, I'm joking. But no, dude, seriously, you could have done anything for the last 2 hours. You came in here and you wooed me. You know,
We're men.
You had a conversation with us here at the Days
And
Grimm.
I'll bring Brian as my +1 to the men's retreat.
I like it. I like this.
Is this romantic? I don't know. It could
Well,
be.
you know what Andrew means, right? You know what your name means?
I don't.
Manly.
Man,
I don't know about that, but I'll take it.
Dude, I'll fucking arm wrestle you right now. This has been another thrilling episode of the Days Grimm. My name is Brian Michael Day.
My name is Thomas Grimm.
I'm Drew Head.
And this has been Zac, owner of Honeymoon Coffee Company. Thank you so much, sir.
Peace.